Some families pass down wealth, some pass down the same problems. Every generation has a different excuse, but the ending stays the same. Somebody gets a paycheck and still feels broke. Somebody swears this relationship will be different, and it still turns into the same fight. Somebody says they will quit the thing they used to numb out, and then life hits and they reach for it again. You've seen these loops, the same money problems, the same relationship dynamics, the same ceilings on ambition, playing out generation after generation. It feels like a gravitational pull you can't escape. You get a good job, but debt finds you. You find a partner, but old communication patterns start to poison the well. This isn't bad luck or a supernatural jinx. It's a script you've inherited. You are not cursed. You are running old code. Families pass things down. Some get a watch. Many others inherit invisible rules. Here's what it looks like. A windfall comes in a bonus, an inheritance, and it evaporates. Because you were never shown how to manage abundance, only how to survive scarcity. The money comes in Friday and it is gone by Tuesday, and nobody can explain where it went. You live paycheck to paycheck even when your income is far greater than your parents' ever was. Because deep down, the rule is that money is for spending, not for building. In relationships, it's repeating chaos because chaos feels like home. You find yourself drawn to emotionally unavailable partners because that's the model of love you saw up close. So you end up having the exact same argument, where one person yells and the other shuts down, an echo of fights that happened decades before you were born. And emotionally, it's the inheritance of a coping mechanism. The flash of anger when you're cornered, the long, punishing silences, the way you use food, or alcohol, or endless scrolling to numb the same discomfort your ancestors tried to numb. These aren't personal failings. They are learned behaviors. It's tempting to call these patterns a curse, and it works for a reason. It feels better because it ends the conversation. A curse means you stop looking. It's a story told to make sense of the chaos. If you believe misfortune is just something that happens to your family, no one is to blame. It just is. But that comfort is a cage. Comment one pattern. No story, just the pattern. As long as the pattern is an untouchable curse, you have no power. It is something that happens to you. The moment you see it not as a curse, but as an inherited pattern, the power shifts. It becomes a system you can analyze and begin to dismantle. This lineage of failure is not transmitted by magic. It spreads the same way accents spread, by exposure. First, kids copy what they see. You don't learn from what your parents say. You learn from what they do. You learned how to handle stress by watching if they reached for a drink or went for a walk. You learned about money by seeing if a surprise bill was met with a calm plan or a screaming match. These strategies become your default settings. From these observations, your brain writes rules. These are the sentences that build a fence around your identity. We're just not good with money in this family. Marriage is always a struggle. You have to work yourself to the bone just to get by. If you internalize the rule we're bad with money, you will unconsciously make choices to prove that belief true. It creates a ceiling on your ambition. You stop trying before you start. Finally, there is a direct emotional inheritance. This is deeper than behavior. If a parent lives in a constant state of high alert from their own trauma, their child's nervous system tunes to that frequency. And that child learns to live in anxiety even when there's no danger, because their environment taught them the world is fundamentally unsafe. Some research suggests stress can echo across generations, but you do not need biology to understand this. If these patterns are so damaging, why is it so hard to break them? And here is the part nobody admits. The pattern is not only inside you, it is guarded. Because breaking the cycle often feels like an act of betrayal. Family systems, even dysfunctional ones, crave stability. When you start to change, save money, go to therapy, set a boundary, you disrupt the established order, the system will push back. This pushback rarely sounds direct. It sounds like concern. It sounds like, don't get your hopes up. It sounds like, wow, you think you're better than us now, or why are you always rocking the boat? When you change, you become a living mirror, showing everyone what is possible. For those invested in the family story, that change is impossible. This is a threat. Deeper still is a powerful sense of loyalty. If your family has bonded over shared struggle, what happens when you are no longer struggling? Letting go of the familiar pain can feel like abandoning your tribe. It can be intensely lonely. For years, chaos was your normal. Peace and stability feel foreign. This discomfort is a primary reason people revert to the old, familiar patterns. This is where the operational work begins. A person who does this is a cycle breaker. This is the act of refusing to let the baggage of the past cross into the future. It is not about heroics. It is about mechanics. First, observe the patterns in your family and your own life without judgment. You have already started this. See the script not as a personal failure, but as old code that was installed. Awareness is the prerequisite for any change. Second, stop using your family as your model. You cannot learn what you have never seen. If your family did not model healthy financial or relational behavior, you must find new models. You need repeated exposure to people who live differently until it starts to feel normal. Find a therapist, a mentor, read books by experts, watch interviews, join a support group. Third, create friction for old habits. Make the old pattern harder to perform and the new pattern easier. If the pattern is impulsive spending, introduce a 48-hour waiting period for any non-essential purchase. If the pattern is yelling during arguments, agree on a rule that the conversation stops for 10 minutes the moment a voice is raised. This is how you interrupt a habit mid-loop. Fourth, find external accountability. Your family system is designed to keep you in the loop. You need accountability outside of that system. This could be a therapist, a coach, or a trusted friend who understands your goal. Their job is not to fix you, but to tell you the truth about your behavior when you are slipping back into the old script. Fifth, reframe discomfort as a signal. The feelings of guilt, loneliness, or fear that come with changing are not signs that you are doing something wrong. They are evidence that you are leaving the old orbit. That discomfort is the feeling of progress. Progress is not a straight line. The goal is fewer laps around the same loop. The patterns that have defined your family are real. Their impact is real. It is not your fault that you inherited this script. The people who passed it down were likely doing the best they could with the unhealed wounds they inherited themselves. You did not choose the script. You do choose whether you keep running it. The upfront cost of breaking the cycle is high. It can cost you comfort, familiarity, and sometimes relationships with those who are committed to the old story. But the cost of not changing is higher. It costs you decades. It's a life that ends with the quiet realization that you pass the same burden, unmodified, to the next generation. The pattern will keep reproducing itself until someone is willing to be uncomfortable longer than everyone else. If you want more of this, subscribe or resources are in the description.